A very good morning and namaskar to my wonderful children of grade 8. I hope you all are fit and fine at home. Great. So, with this video lecture, let's start chapter number 3 of history, ruling the countryside. So, beta, in my previous video, I have told you about the Battle of Buxar as well as Battle of Plassey, in which East India Company won and Mughals were defeated by the East India Company. And that time they got the power over the Bengal and they got the Diwani rights officially after this battle. So beta, let's start this chapter with the first topic, the company becomes the Diwan. Beta, before starting this topic, I want to tell you what is the meaning of Diwan. Diwan means tax collectors. So Diwan means the company became the financial administrators of the टेरिटरी मीन्स अब जो चाहे वो उस टेरिटरी में खरीद सकते थे, दैट मीन्स बंगाल में, या फिर जो कुछ चाहे उस टेरिटरी में बेच सकते थे. So on 12th August 1965, the Mughal Emperor appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. As you can see in this picture that Robert Clive accepting the Diwani of Bengal and Bihar and Orissa from the Mughal ruler in 1765. तो आफ्टर द बैटल ऑफ बक्सर एक ट्रीटी साइन हुई थी, द ट्रीटी ऑफ इलाहाबाद, जिसमें कि ये डिसाइड किया गया था कि जो कंपनी है उसको इन तीनों जगह की जो है दीवानी दे दी जाएगी. बट it was a fact that the actual event most probably took place in Robert Clive's tent with a few Englishmen and Indians as a witnesses. बट अगर हम ये पेंटिंग को देखें तो अगर इस पेंटिंग में द इवेंट इज शोन एज अ मेजेस्टिक ओकेजन टेकिंग प्लेस इन अ ग्रैंड सेटिंग, और ये पेंटिंग इसीलिए बनाई गई थी ताकि रॉबर्ट क्लाइव कि ये लाइफ का एक मेमोरेबल मोमेंट था, तो उसको वो मेजेस्टिक दिखाना चाहता था आगे आने वाली जनरेशन को, इसीलिए ये पेंटिंग जो है इतनी रॉयल हमें दिख रही है. So beta, as a Diwan, the company became the chief financial administrator of the territory under its control. Now it had to think of administrating the land and organizing its revenue resources. तो इनको इस चीज़ में बैलेंस करने की कंपनी को बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत थी, क्योंकि अब उनके एक्सपेंसेस जो हैं कंपनी के वो भी धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहे थे, जैसे कि उन्होंने अपनी खुद की आर्मी बनानी शुरू कर दी थी. सो एज अ ट्रेडिंग कंपनी उनको इंश्योर करना था कि जो भी वो प्रोडक्ट्स खरीदना चाहते हैं या जो भी प्रोडक्ट्स वो बेचना चाहते हैं उनको उसमें प्रॉफिट ज़रूर मिले. सो बेटा, कुछ साल दीवानी लेने के बाद कंपनी ने अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस से कुछ चीज़ें सीखी. सो लेट्स डिस्कस दैट एज वेल. ओवर द ईयर्स द कंपनी ऑल्सो लर्नड दैट इट हैड टू मूव विद सम कॉशन. बीइंग एन एलियन पावर मतलब वो यहाँ की नहीं थी, वो कहाँ से आई थी, बाहर दूसरी जो कंट्री है वहाँ से आए थे. So the company had understood that they have to be very careful and they cannot annoy the rulers of the countryside who enjoyed authority and prestige in past years. मतलब जो सामंत होते थे या फिर जो लोकल रूलर्स होते थे उनको उनकी रिस्पेक्ट देना भी कंपनी के लिए उतना ही इम्पॉर्टेंट था. एंड दे कैन नॉट बी एंटायरली एलिमिनेटेड बट हैड टू बी कंट्रोल्ड. तो उनको बिल्कुल ख़त्म नहीं किया जा सकता, एंटायरली एलिमिनेट नहीं किया जा सकता, बट हाँ वो कंपनी के कंट्रोल में रहे, कंपनी के अंडर में रहे. इस चीज़ का कंपनी को ध्यान रखना ज़रूरी था. सो बेटा, इन दिस चैप्टर वी विल सी हाउ द कंपनी came to colonize the countryside, organize revenue resources, redefine the rights of the people, and produce the crops it wanted. So beta, we need to understand this. The company had become the Diwan, but it still saw itself primarily as a trader or trading company. It wanted a large revenue income but was unwilling to set up any regular system of assessment and collection. The effort was to increase the revenue as much as it could and buy fine cotton and silk cloth as cheaply as it is possible. So beta, before the year 1865, the company had purchased goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. But now the revenue collected in Bengal could finance and purchase of goods for export as well. And soon it was clear that the Bengal economy was facing a deep crisis. और कारीगरों ने भी विलेज को छोड़कर जाना शुरू कर दिया था बिकॉज दे वर बीइंग फोर्स्ड टू सेल देयर गुड्स टू द कंपनी एट द वेरी लो प्राइस. Peasants were unable to pay the dues that were being demanded from them. और जो कारीगर थे उनकी प्रोडक्शन भी डिक्लाइन होना शुरू हो गई थी एंड द एग्रीकल्चर कल्टिवेशन शोड साइन ऑफ कोलैप्स. And let's see what happened in the year 1770. Beta, in the year 1770 a terrible famine मतलब सूखा पड़ा बंगाल में and it killed more than 10 million people in Bengal and about 1/3 of the population was wiped up due to this famine. और इस famine के बाद जो कंपनी थी उसने ये सोचा कि हम बेसिकली ट्रेडिंग कंपनी है और इस सिचुएशन में जब रेवेन्यू कलेक्शन नहीं हो पाएगा तो उसके बाद उन्होंने जो है लैंड रिफॉर्म्स के बारे में सोचा. सो लेट्स डिस्कस दैट. बट नाउ द क्वेश्चन कम्स, अगर इस सिचुएशन के बाद इफ़ द इकोनॉमी वॉज इन रून्स, कुड द कंपनी बी सर्टेन ऑफ इट्स रेवेन्यू इनकम? क्या वो इस सिचुएशन में रेवेन्यू इनकम जो है जनरेट कर सकती थी? बिल्कुल नहीं कर सकती थी. सो कंपनी ऑफिशियल्स को तो ये चीज़ कंफर्म हो गई थी दैट द नीड टू इम्प्रूव द एग्रीकल्चर इज़ अ मस्ट. So for that the company officials began to feel that if we want to increase the revenue, we need to encourage investment on land and improve agriculture. But now the question comes, how was this to be done? So after 2 decades of debate on this question, the company finally introduced the permanent settlement in the year 1793. So beta, before understanding what is permanent settlement system, let's see the 3 principal methods of revenue collection in the British India with the help of this diagram. तो सबसे पहला मैंने आपको समझाया is permanent settlement that was introduced by Lord Cornwallis in the year 1793. The next system was introduced by Alexander Reed and Thomas Munro in 1820. The system name is Rayatwari system, and the next system is Mahalwari system, and that was introduced in 1822 by Hall Mackenzie. So beta, let's understand the permanent settlement first. बेटा, परमानेंट सेटलमेंट इज़ एन एग्रीमेंट. एग्रीमेंट किसके बीच में था? राजास एंड तुगलकदार्स या फिर ज़मींदार्स और ब्रिटिशर्स के बीच में. जो राजा और तुगलकदार्स थे या ज़मींदार्स थे, दे वर आस्क्ड टू कलेक्ट रेंट फ्रॉम द पीजेंट एंड पे रेवेन्यू टू द कंपनी. द अमाउंट टू बी पेड वॉज फिक्स्ड परमानेंटली, दैट इज इट वॉज नॉट टू बी इंक्रीज्ड एवर इन द फ्यूचर. It was felt that this would ensure a regular flow of revenue into the company's offices या फिर कंपनी के अंदर एक रेगुलर और एक परमानेंट जो है इनकम आ जाएगी अगर हम ज़मींदार्स को बोलें कि वो टैक्सेस को कलेक्ट करें और हमें एक ये फिक्स अमाउंट जो है दे दे. But since the revenue demand of the state would not be increased, the zamindar would benefit from increased production from the land. But beta, इस permanent settlement में भी कुछ problem थी. So let's see the problem. The permanent settlement, however, created problems. Company officials soon discovered that the zamindars were in fact not investing in the improvement of land. जो ज़मींदार थे वो लैंड की किसी भी तरह की इम्प्रूवमेंट में कोई इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर रहे थे, उसकी तरफ कोई ध्यान नहीं दे रहे थे. The revenue that had been fixed was so high that the zamindar found it डिफ़िकल्ट टू पे। तो इसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, एनीवन हु फेल टू पे द रेवेन्यू लॉस्ट हिज ज़मींदारी। तो बहुत सारी ज़मींदारी, न्यूमरस ऑफ ज़मींदारीज वर सोल्ड ऑफ एट ऑक्शंस ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय द कंपनी। सो बेटा ऑन दी अदर हैंड अगर हम फार्मर्स की बात करें, कल्टिवेटर्स की बात करें, तो दे फाउंड द सिस्टम वेरी ऑप्रेसिव। द रेंट ही हैड टू पे टू द जमींदार वॉज वेरी हाई एंड हिज राइट ऑन द लैंड वॉज इनसिक्योर। कहीं ना कहीं उसमें इनसिक्योरिटी की फीलिंग थी। टू पे द रेंट ही हैड टू ऑफन टेक अ लोन फ्रॉम द मनी लैंडर। तो कभी कभी क्या होता था, उसको उस रेंट को पे करने के लिए लोन लेना पड़ता था मनी लेंडर से, एंड व्हेन ही फेल्ड टू पे द रेंट ही वॉज एविक्टेड फ्रॉम द लैंड एंड ही हैड कल्टिवेटेड फॉर जनरेशंस। सो बेटा इस सिचुएशन को देखते हुए बाय द अर्ली 19th century मैनी ऑफ द कंपनी ऑफिशियल्स वर कन्विंस्ड दैट दिस सिस्टम ऑफ रेवेन्यू हैड टू बी चेंज्ड अगेन। बिकॉज उनका एक रीज़न था कि अगर हाउ कुड रेवेन्यूज बी फिक्स्ड परमानेंटली एट अ टाइम व्हेन द कंपनी नीडेड मोर मनी टू मीट इट्स एक्सपेंसिव एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड ट्रेड एज वेल। So, in the northwestern provinces of the Bengal Presidency, an Englishman called Holt Mackenzie advised the new system which came into effect in the year 1822. बेटा लॉर्ड मैकेंजी जो थे, ही फेल्ट दैट द विलेज वॉज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन इन द नॉर्थ इंडियन सोसाइटी एंड नीडेड टू बी प्रिजर्व्ड. Under his directions, collectors went from village to village, inspecting the land, measuring the field, and recording the customs and rights of different groups. Okay, so the estimated revenue of each plot within the village was added up to calculate the revenue from each village, which was also called as Mahal at that point of time, had to pay. So this demand was to be revised periodically, not permanently fixed. The change of collection, the revenue and paying it to the company was given to the village headman rather than the zamidar. So this system came to be known as the Malwadi settlement or Malwadi system. So अभी तक हमने बात करी नॉर्थ की. But in the British territory in the south, there was a similar move away from the idea of permanent settlement. तो permanent settlement के system से जो साउथ के रीजन थे, जो साउथ में जहाँ कंपनी का अधिकार था, वो भी सेटिस्फाई नहीं थे. द न्यू सिस्टम दैट वॉज एडवाइज्ड केम टू बी नोन एज द रैयतवाड़ी और रैयतवार सिस्टम. It was tried to be on a small scale by Captain Alexander Reed in some of the areas that were taken over by the company after the wars with Tipu Sultan. Subsequently, development by Thomas Munro, this system was gradually extended all over the South India. But beta, this was not well, because within a few years after the new systems were imposed, it was clear that all was not well with them. इसका रीज़न था कि जो ब्रिटिशर्स की डिमांड थी रेवेन्यू की, दैट डिमांड was too high and peasants were unable to pay. And optimistic officials had imagined that the new systems would transform peasants into rich enterprising farmers, but this did not happen. So beta, the British also realized that the countryside could not yield revenue, not only revenue, it could also grow the crops that Europe required. क्योंकि ये ट्रेडिंग कंपनी थी तो हर जगह से मुनाफे के बारे में सोचती थी. So by the late 18th century, the company was trying its best to expand the cultivation of opium and indigo. In the century and a half that followed, the British pressured or forced cultivators in various parts of India to produce other crops as well. So jute cultivation was started in the regions of Bengal, and tea plantations also started in Assam. Sugar cane plantation was also started in Uttar Pradesh, and wheat in Punjab, cotton in Maharashtra and Punjab, and rice in Madras. The British used a variety of methods to expand the cultivation of crops that they needed. Beta, on your screen, the two images is showing. The image on the left shows a Kalakamari print created by the weavers of Andhra Pradesh in India. On the right is a floral cotton print designed and produced by the William Morris, a famous poet and artist of 19th century in Britain. There is a common thing in both of them, both the prints. Both use a rich blue color commonly called indigo. And do you know how this color was produced? Beta, the blue that you see in these prints were produced from the plant called indigo. It is likely that the blue dye used in the Maurice prints in 19th century Britain was manufactured from indigo plants cultivated in India. For India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world at that time. सो बेटा बाय द एंड ऑफ द 18th सेंचुरी जो इंडियन इंडिगो प्लांट था उसका जो डिमांड था वो बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया था, बिकॉज ये जो है इंडिगो प्रोड्यूस अ रिच ब्लू कलर वेयर एज द डाई फ्रॉम द वुड विच वॉज द अनदर डाई फ्रॉम द प्लांट यूज्ड बाय द ब्रिटिशर्स अर्लियर वॉज पेल एंड डल. So, faced with the rising demand for indigo in Europe, the company in India looked for ways to expand the area under indigo cultivation. And as the indigo trade grew, the commercial agents and officials of the company began investing in the indigo production. And you know the interesting fact, over the years many company officials left their jobs to look after their indigo business only. और आपको ये बात पता है दैट इंग्लिशमैन केम टू इंडिया एंड became planters, and those who had no money to produce indigo could get loan from the company and the banks, and that were coming up at that point of time. So beta, let's understand how was indigo cultivated. So beta, there were two main system of indigo cultivation. First is niche and second is ryote. Within the system of niche cultivation, the planter produced indigo in land that he directly controlled. He either bought the land or rented it from the other zamindar and produced indigo by directly employing hired laborers. So let's see what are the problems with the niche cultivation. So beta, the planters found it difficult to expand the area under the niche cultivation because indigo could be cultivated only on the fertile lands, and these were all already densely populated, and planters need large areas to in compact blocks to cultivate indigo in plantation. So they attempted to lease in the land around the indigo factory and evict the peasants from the area. But इससे क्या होता था? But this always led to conflict and tension. So beta, let's understand the second system of the indigo cultivation, that is ryote system. Beta, under the ryote system, the planters forced the ryots to sign a contract or an agreement. At times, they pressurized the village headmen to sign the contract on behalf of the ryot. These who signed the contract got cash advance from the planters at low rates of interest to produce indigo. When the crop was delivered to the planters after the harvest, a new loan was given to the ryot, and the cycle started all over again. Peasants who were initially tempted with the loan soon realized how harsh the system was. क्योंकि बेटा जो लोन्स का ये जो साइकिल घूमता था ये नेवर एंडिंग प्रोसेस था. एंड देयर वर अदर प्रॉब्लम्स टू. द प्लांटर्स यूजुअली इंसिस्टेड दैट इंडिगो बी कल्टिवेटेड ऑन द बेस्ट सॉइल इन विच पीजेंट्स प्रेफर टू कल्टिवेट राइस. और जो इंडिगो प्लांट था उसकी रूट बहुत ज़्यादा डीप जाती थी, जिसकी वजह से अगर एक बार उसके ऊपर इंडिगो प्लांट को हार्वेस्ट किया जाता था तो दैट लैंड कुड नॉट बी सोन विद राइस. So beta, let's learn what is the Blue Rebellion and what happened after that. So beta, in the March 1859, thousands of ryots in Bengal refused to grow indigo. उन्होंने indigo grow करने से मना कर दिया था. As the rebellion spread, ryot refused to pay rents to the planters and attacked indigo factories armed with swords, bows and arrow. Women turned up to fight with pots, pan and beta, those who worked for the planters were socially boycotted. Now the question comes, why did the indigo peasant decide that they would no longer remain silent? Clearly because the indigo system was intensely oppressive. But those who are oppressed do not always rise up in rebellion. So in the year 1859, the indigo ryots felt that they had the support of the local zamindars and the village headmen in their rebellion against the planters. Because these zamindars were unhappy with the increasing power of the planters and angry at being forced by the planters to give them land on long lease. As the rebellion spread, intellectuals from Calcutta rushed to the indigo district. They wrote about the mystery of the riots, the tyranny of the planters and the horrors of the indigo system. Worried by the rebellion, the government brought in the military to protect the planters from the assault and set up the Indigo Commission to acquire into the system of indigo production. The commission held the planters guilty and criticizing them कि इतने उन्होंने गलत methods जो हैं use किए थे for indigo cultivators. It declared that indigo production was not profitable for ryots as well. The commission asked the ryots to fulfill their existing contracts but also told them that they could refuse to produce indigo in the future. But what was the result after this revolt? Beta, after the revolt, indigo production collapsed in Bengal, but the planters now shifted their operations to Bihar. With the discovery of synthetic dye in the late 19th century, their business was severely affected, but yet they managed to expand their production. When Mahatma Gandhi returned from South Africa, a peasant from the Bihar, उन्होंने उनको request किया to please visit Champaran and see the situation of the indigo cultivation over there. So Mahatma Gandhi's visit in 1917 marked the beginning of the Champaran movement against the indigo planters. So beta, I hope by the end of this video you all have understood this chapter well. So listen this video one more time and complete your PDF file. So see you in the next video. So till then, bye bye.